Guys, so let's connect today, July 16th, 2023, coming at you to talk about Dead City, The Walking Dead universe, Comic-Con, other shows, movies, stuff that we're watching that we're excited to talk about. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. There's top chat, super chat, any kind of thing is always welcome. But I'm One Eye Bright, also known as PT. Don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about The Walking Dead universe, Comic-Con, like all those things I talked about before and a couple seconds ago. And I'm excited, guys, to be here. Last Sunday, I missed the live stream, and life gets in the way, and I can't do a live stream every Sunday, but I have the plan to do one for the foreseeable future. I don't know, probably won't be till later this year that I won't be able to do another one, but I'm back to talk about a variety of topics, and Dead City is definitely one of those things because I'm excited to talk about the show because it's pretty good. You know, I'm talking with my wife and friends and family and my dad and a bunch of fans too in the community. I like Dead City. I mean, do you guys enjoy it so far? Are you enjoying the show for what it is? There's cheesy moments, dumb moments, stuff that doesn't make sense, stuff that does. We're basically, you know, calling the Red Theory pretty, you know, spot on this series. Does it mean that people are dying because of the red? No, but it's showing that there is a correlation with it and the foreshadowing of it from earlier episodes to now. And basically, I don't want to get too much into it just yet, but we'll talk about basically all of Dead City so far. You know, I'll talk about a bunch of different things, the latest episode, and then we'll talk about what may happen going forward, and I'm excited to see how it is. Michael says, watching you and the Wimbledon final. So I'm guessing you're watching the men's final. Probably Djokovic will probably win is my guess. But thank you guys for being here. Tim, Lindsay, Phantom, Big Tree, Negan 1, Rob K, Carol, Michael, and everybody else joining as we speak. So next Sunday is the final episode of Dead City Season 1. Comic-Con is still going on. There's been a lot of talk about Comic-Con being canceled and this and that. I've had a bunch of people messaging me saying that Comic-Con is canceled. I don't see anywhere that Comic-Con is canceled this year for 2023. I do know that some people are not going. The panels are being stopped for some things. But as far as I know, The Walking Dead is still going to have a panel. The Walking Dead universe is still going to have a panel. So we'll have to see what we actually get out of that. We got the Daryl Dixon premiere date, which is going to be September 10th, 2023. So that's less than 2 months away that we're going to have the Daryl show. And then the word is that Fear the Walking Dead is going to be October 22nd. So the next show after Dead City is done next week is the Daryl Dixon show. We thought the Daryl show would be October into November, and then the Fear the Walking Dead final 6 episodes would be November and December. But it looks like everything's going to be done come November. And Fear the Walking Dead will be done later this year. The Daryl first season will be done, and Dead City first season will be done as well too. So a bunch of people are liking Dead City. But if they rescue Herschel, where do they go from there? Good question, Rob K. So I'm going to get into that. Probably the last. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Then I'm going to cover the Dead City, the last 45 minutes of the hour live stream, because I think you're right. So if Herschel was kidnapped, we all know that, right? And you're right. If they rescue him, what's next? Well, the Croat would have to live. There would have to be other story for Maggie and Negan, and what's left? Is Negan's probably involved just because he wants to rescue Herschel. But the whole thing with the Marshals could be a thing too, because, you know, Armstrong is going after Negan. And we'll have to see what carries over in the final episode into season 2. If there is one, there probably will be one. But that could be the thing. New Babylon. You could cover New Babylon. Does Negan stay in Manhattan? Is he allowed to leave? Does he escape? There's a lot of questions where it could go. There's still a lot of story left. Herschel, to me, is the weakest part of this show. Like, okay, he was taken. Yeah, great. Okay. But we've seen him for like a minute, 3 minutes total. Like, he was with the Croat. He wasn't going to say anything. He was supposed to be tortured. He was supposed to be this. Then we saw a flashback, and then we haven't seen him since. And we're probably going to see him in the finale, season 1, episode 6. Zenith Q&A, Brian, do you think Maggie's next task will be to go nab Annie and Joshua so she can use them as leverage against the new Dark Negan? I don't know. I wouldn't want to see that. Like, do you really want to have Maggie be the villain like that? I don't think Maggie's going to get on a train to a boxcar or whatever and go to Missouri and go find Joshua and Annie, and she pulls a Negan on that. I don't really know if that's a thing, but I don't really want to see Maggie become like full villain. I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. I really don't. BJ Logan 007 Q&A. Hey, One Eyebrow, long time, no talk. Do you think Negan will find that bottle from Rick? Only ask because I believe Armstrong used to clean the city, which I thought was a slight Easter egg leaning to it. That's a great question. That's a great idea. So when when Rick, at the end of season 11, episode 24, The Walking Dead was done and the Commonwealth stuff was this and blah, blah, blah. Then we saw Michonne and Rick and this and the fire and them talking into the fire and this and that. We are the ones who live and blah, blah, blah. Then Daryl, I keep want to say Daryl. Rick gets a note, a message in a bottle, an SOS, right? So he sends the bottle into the water, which I'm guessing is the Delaware River outside of Philadelphia, separating New Jersey and Philadelphia. Pennsylvania, and well, same thing. Camden, New Jersey, and Philadelphia right there in the waterway, Delaware River. Very familiar with it. Throws it into the water, and we haven't seen this green bottle or a message or anything like that. So why would they put that there if no one's ever going to see it? No one's ever going to get it. We saw the bag and the boots and the this and the that. Michonne had a bunch of stuff there and the phone and the etching on the phone. But you're right. Who's going to find that stupid bottle? Is it going to be her? Is it going to be Carol? Is it going to be Michonne? Is it going to be Morgan? Is it going to be Maggie? Is it going to be Negan? Is it going to be Ginny? Is it going to be Armstrong? Because it would be Chekhov's bottle. So like, don't show us stuff if you're not going to explain it or explore it. Especially in the Walking Dead universe, right? Like, you can do whatever you want with it, but don't tease us with something. Don't give us a PPP card and don't do that, right? Like, don't tell us anything if you're not going to go into it a little bit more, right? So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that because we want answers. Like I think Dead City is doing a really good job with connecting stuff. Like, and it's not even like connecting that much with The Walking Dead. It's connecting with Maggie, Negan, Herschel. So we have 3 characters from The Walking Dead on this spinoff. Then we have the Croat, which is a new character, but he's connected with Negan's past. They brought back Simon, which was awesome. I like Stephen Ogg. I think he was a worse villain than Negan at times. I think it was really cool to see that. It really was like a small thing, but you're like, it's good. And that's what we want. I don't speak for everybody, and I don't speak for you guys, but I do think myself and the community likes to have those Easter eggs and those callbacks and those connections, the stuff we're familiar with, to see that. And I don't know, if you guys saw last week's episode and you saw when Stephen Ogg showed up as Simon right in the beginning of the episode, I was like, awesome. My wife was like, cool. A lot of fans were like, awesome to see, Simon back. And he has a problem with the Croat and the Croat killing that girl from the kingdom and this. And then basically Simon did the same, if not a lot worse things like the Croat did. So it was kind of interesting. It was contradictory. He was a hypocrite. It was all these things he was saying. He was saying things but doing other things. He was going against that too. Now, basically, was he like that the entire time? Was he lying? Was Simon trying to get in favor with Negan? A bunch of stuff can be, guessed at and concluded, and you have your ideas on it. But it's a bunch of good questions that we made videos about Oceanside and what he did versus what the Croat did. And, it would be really cool to see if Simon went against the Croat, what would happen. Because we know that Negan shot the Croat's ear off, but did Simon and the Croat fight? Would Simon, kill the Croat and the Croat fights dirty? Or, it would have been a really cool thing to see, and I don't know if we're going to see any more of it. Now, Dead City is not perfect. The Walking Dead's not perfect. There's some things that make you go, There's stuff that makes you be like, wow, that's kind of cheese. I don't really, like Ginny to me is filler. Like everything is basically filler. The new characters that came into the show are serving the purpose for Negan and Maggie, except for Armstrong. I think Armstrong is actually more of a character, is probably the strongest, hence Armstrong. No, strongest is the strongest new character, I would say. Like Luther was strong physically, but it was pretty weak, the writing that they had for him. I like Amaya. Tommaso's okay, but, they're filling in the void and the gaps. And really, it's kind of like this story and the movies and the shows and the books and everything, where your main protagonist is going to these things and they come across people that get them to another part. Those people that helped the protagonist either die or just go back away, and the protagonist continues on with their story. That's basically what a lot of these characters are doing for Maggie and Negan, right? So I don't know. Like, I do like a lot of the characters, and now that they just brought in characters just to bring them, except for Ginny. Like, Ginny kind of fits, but doesn't. There's just a lot of things where they're just giving her story, and I don't know. And the whole thing with her talking is, I don't know, kind of dumb. I don't like that. I don't like it when characters don't talk at all, and I don't like it when characters don't speak the language that the other characters talk like at all. Like, it's one of those things where you're like, come on, you could just have her talk. She could say a couple words or whatever. She could be soft spoken. I don't know. It's just a little annoying at times. It's not a big deal, but it's just there. Carol, is Maggie getting in anyone else's nerves? Why is she acting so stubborn? Yeah, she's definitely stubborn. She's been stubborn like her whole time, right? Like, if you remember seeing Maggie the first time, she bossed Glenn around. She told Glenn what to do. She was like, oh, so you're their errand boy, or you're this guy, or you do this. Get over here, Glenn. Yep. It was just like she was kind of barking out orders, and Glenn was taking it because he was a nice guy and he was attracted to Maggie, and they ended up getting married and whatever, right? So you're like, okay, cool. And then just how she was running stuff at Hilltop. And it was good because, Gregory was terrible. So I guess we looked past Maggie barking out orders and everything on there as well. And then when Maggie went away and came back, and it just didn't really make sense, and Lauren Cohan left the show, but then she's like, I'm going to come back. And you're like, well, you shouldn't have left in the first place, for a lot of people. I don't really care, but some people do. BJ Logan, Q&A, if you were taking over the Walking Dead universe at this point, what would you do, including crossovers, bring back characters, bringing the picture full circle? Well, I ultimately would be wrapping it up, right? I don't want to continue the Walking Dead universe just to continue it, right? It's kind of annoying when so many things have it be annoying time just to filler stuff. Oh, we want Walking Dead. Here's some Walking Dead stuff. Here you go, right? So I would have it basically, I would have way more CRM involvement because you brought them in and you sprinkled it on the shows and have a show basically about it 2 seasons that really didn't. But I would ultimately have a big battle with all the people that's left to take down the CRM and have the group be involved with the Civic Republic. And that's the end game of it. The Commonwealth was a nice step there too, but the Civic Republic is the bigger community stuff there is what I would end up doing. Tales of the Walking Dead would fill in the void from stuff and story that we want to fill in about stuff too. Like, there's a lot of plot holes that are out there, a lot of questions that people have. I would try to answer them the best I could. But you kind of, like I said, in this universe, that's a bunch of shows now, you can write yourself into a corner, paint yourself into a corner, and how you're going to get out of it is kind of the same thing as well. So I don't know. That's what I would do too. Antonio, that's a good question. Predictions on Summit. I hope it's awesome. I hope it's amazing. And my predictions are that it's going to be the best spinoff there too. We're going to see Jadis. We're going to see CRM. We're going to meet Major General Beale. I don't know if they plan to do 2 seasons or not. That's a bunch of people saying a lot of crazy stuff, that it's going to be 6 episodes, and Andrew Lincoln confirmed it's going to be 6 episodes, and this and that. It's a bunch of stuff. So hopefully we get confirmation on that on Friday at Comic-Con. Which we're still going to have. Comic-Con panel is the word. It's still planned to be from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Pacific time. So if that's 1 o'clock California time, that is 4 o'clock East Coast time. So 4 o'clock on Friday for East Coast as well, and then where you're, depending if you live in the United States or not. Check your local listings and your time for any information there too. As soon as we find out information, I'm sure it'll be all over Twitter and social media and this. But the thing we have information already on, we have it to be that the Daryl show is going to air in September 10th, and then 6 weeks, 6 episodes that'll be done. And then October 22nd is Fear the Walking Dead, last 6 episodes too. So Diana says, yes, Maggie is being a PETA. And Lindsay Rob asks, what does a PETA mean? For me, PETA is a pain in the, and the A word is the other word for butt. So that's what I write PETA is, and I wrote that actually in my book series a little bit on there too. So that's what I break down. PETA is. It's an acronym for pain in the. Wilson says pain in the Andrea. So, I mean, I'm enjoying Dead City. I know it's getting better throughout there too. My other shows that we're watching. Mayans is wrapping up, the final episode of Mayans. That's on FX. That is the Sons of Anarchy universe. That is ending this week with the 10th episode of season, I think it's 5, I think. And if you saw last week's episode, if you watched that universe, you got to see a familiar face from Sons of Anarchy, also Sopranos, different characters, but same actress. And pretty cool stuff. I'm excited to see what happens there, to see if my conclusions and ideas are going to happen on that. We're watching the quarterback thing on Netflix, where they're following Patrick Mahomes, Marcus Mariota, and Kirk Cousins. And it's 8 episodes. It's produced by Peyton Manning, and it's really good. It's like a Hard Knocks type of thing where you get an inside look at the life of 3 quarterbacks and their families, and it's just awesome. It's always good to see. I love to see inside looks of celebrities and on there as well too. So, Christy, I am not on Threads. I'm just on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, of course. But no, I haven't done the Threads thing. I don't know if I will. Is anybody else on Threads? So that's the Facebook equivalent of like Twitter, is what people are saying. And I have not done that. I don't know if I will. Should I do that? Is that something worth doing? I don't know. Cass, why go? What are you watching besides Walking Dead? Have you checked out Silo? Really fantastic sci-fi mystery show. Cass, I have watched all of Silo. I've done one video on that. I've seen all 10 episodes of Silo. It's a good show. It's definitely interesting. I'm excited for the season 2 of Silo. It's an Apple TV Plus show. It's something different. I love different shows like From and Walking Dead, and Silo is definitely something I recommend as well. Diana says Ginny will finally talk when she tells Negan that Maggie has been lying. I think so too. It's like I've always thinking about like Jay and Silent Bob. If you've watched those movies, like Jay talks way too much, and Silent Bob doesn't talk at all. So Silent Bob eventually talks in different movies and different things. And when he talks, it's impactful. It's meaningful. You listen. I think Ginny can talk. I don't think Ginny is a mute who doesn't have vocal cords and she's deaf or anything. I think she can, and I think she will. And I think she will in the final episode too, and I hope she does. And I think she's going to spill the beans, like you said, and tell Negan about Maggie and that she's a liar. So we'll talk about that in the last there. Yeah, let me go a little bit more, and then we'll talk about probably the last 35 minutes too. Yeah, I mean, the writing is kind of... The Walker stuff is just kind of crazy a little bit, too. You know, they kind of throw it in when they need to. They trickle the Walkers in when they tried to, and then they bring them around when they do, and then they surround them and swarm. It's just kind of crazy. Fan Deluxe, do you think a Negan with multiple personality disorder would be interesting, or a potential villain like Norman Osborn? Well, I think Negan is actually sane, and I don't think he would have personality disorder. I think he's just there to protect himself, his family, his people. He's there, and he just does it in a way that's brutal. That, if, like we always like to say, in shows and stuff, if we were following so-and-so, we would hate Rick and Daryl and Carol and Maggie and all those people. If we were following Negan from the very beginning. But we weren't. We were following Daryl, and we were following Rick, and then Daryl, and Maggie, and Glenn, and Abraham, and Maggie, and all those Carol, and all of that. So it's different, but it's pretty interesting for that. Zenith says, Q&A, Brian, what if when Ginny speaks, her voice is like Michael Clark Duncan? I don't know. The Bear's good also. Kami says the Bear's good. That's on Hulu, and there's some big time celebrities in that show. Especially season 2. And if you like The Walking Dead, there's a Walking Dead star on that show too. Katrina, do you think Ginny will survive? I think so. So my guess is that we will have Negan, Maggie, Ginny, and Armstrong survive. I think the Croat has to survive, and I think a new character that we meet in season 5 has to survive somewhat too, going into season 2 to set things up, because it makes the most sense for it to be, happening for season 2. Because Lauren Cohan has said that they want multiple seasons of the show. And I think after we have the actors strike now and the writers strike all at the same time, which hasn't happened since like the 60s or something, I believe. And I think the, production companies and the powers that be need to give up some rights and pay them a little bit better and have residuals be a little bit better and do all the stuff that you need to do to pay these people and protect them more. Because this strike can go on for months, and that's going to really hurt things later this year into next year as well. So I don't know what it's going to be, but hopefully they can get that stuff settled, because people think like people work in the film industry and shows and movies and TV and all that stuff. It's like, it's not easy. Not everyone's making millions of dollars. There's some people that are making little money. The smaller time actors even. And if they can get a little more residual money, a little better percentage or a little bit here and there, it's going to go a long way too. So, but, I've seen a bunch of different people talking a lot of good stuff, and it's eye-opening. I didn't know Fran Drescher was like the president or some spokesperson for the Actors Guild, and she's not messing around. It's cool. Yeah, I watched The Bear. That was good. I recommend Silo. Mayans I recommend. What else are we watching? I'm finishing Modern Family. We're on Peacock. That's we're on the final season 10, and it's been good. Like I thought Modern Family was going to suck when it got later on in the seasons with Joe and older Luke and older Lily and older characters like that, but it's been funny all the way through. And we're on the last season, so we like watching that. I have not watched Black Mirror, Phantom. Are you expecting more? Are you expecting more from Daryl Dixon? I don't know. Like, Daryl Dixon's show, to me, it just seems like filler. It just seems like, I don't know, a money grab. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, it just seems like, okay, guys. It's like Fear the Walking Dead. You guys like The Walking Dead. Here's more of that. But it's not. You like The Walking Dead and you like Daryl. Here's more of that. But it's not. Daryl alone is interesting for like an episode. Daryl with other characters and other story and stuff can make sense, but I don't know about the angle they're doing with like the nuns and the covenant and kids and I don't know. Like I just don't know. Like I'm gonna keep my expectations low, but I do have faith in Norman Reedus being Daryl, and I think he wouldn't sign on for something just to make something. I think he has faith in it, but I do think that him going to France is pretty far fetched in the world of the Walking Dead universe. But we're talking about the Walking Dead universe now too, so. Phantom asks, have you watched Mummy movies of Stephen Sumner and Rob Cohen franchise? I have not. Wilson Q&A, I can understand a pilot series being 6 episodes, but would you like the second season to be longer for spinoffs? It doesn't have to be. No, we're also watching The Secret Invasion on Disney Plus with Nick Fury and my guy. I love Samuel L. Jackson because we have the same birthday, and I love Samuel. I like a lot of the actors that have my same birthday. Samuel L. Jackson, Ray Romano, Stephen Yeun, Tom Payne. I know Jane Fonda does. I'm not a huge Jane Fonda fan, but Jane Fonda. Kiefer Sutherland. Like, we all have the same birthday, which is amazing. And I'm like, man, support these guys for sure. But I don't need more than 6 episodes just to have 6 episodes. Like, I think Dead City is a decent pace for 6 episodes. Now, could it be a little bit more? Yeah. Like 8? I think 8 is a good number. Maybe 10 at the most. Like, again, these are spinoffs. Now, if you're going to bring in Dwight and or Sherry, if you're going to bring people from, other Walking Dead shows, bring people to the show, you can expand upon stuff with it. Like, because it's not like The Walking Dead, Maggie Negan. It's Dead City. You can have other characters. When it's The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, it's focusing on Daryl Dixon. When it's The Walking Dead, Rick and Michonne, it's focusing on Rick and Michonne, right? Like, but Dead City is Dead City. Tales of the Walking Dead, you can bring it to be. It's not like there's some guy named Tales and it's his story. It's whatever it wants to be. And yes, they better change the title for season 2 of Daryl Dixon's show when Carol joins it, right? Like, it's going to be The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, and Carol. Like, what? No, give Carol some credit too. Like, Carol is just as big for some people and a lot of people, just as big as Daryl. Like, Daryl's huge, but Carol's right up there too. If Daryl's a top 3 character, I think Carol's a top 5. She's been around since the beginning. She survived the end. It's going to be The Walking Dead, Carol Dixon. I don't know. Like, what are they going to do? But they're really not getting, creative with these titles. And they really haven't got creative with those. The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Walking Dead World Beyond, which was just like the United States, except for the post-credit scene. But World Beyond. Daryl Dixon, Rick and Michonne, Tales of the Walking Dead. Like, I don't know, the ingenuity and creativity of things just hasn't been really there. So Jeannie says, Carol bigger than Daryl here. Yeah, for a lot of people, Carol is. For a lot of people, I would assume Carol is probably their favorite character. And Carol's done some major things in The Walking Dead. So is Daryl, and so is Rick, and so is Michonne, and so is a lot of people. But Carol's up there too. Christy asked Doc, how would you think they will explain Carol getting to Europe? Commonwealth, Oceanside, the boats. I think that's what they'll say. They'll be like, Carol, she went to Oceanside, got a boat, and took a 26-hour tour. No, I don't know how long it would take from Oceanside to get to Europe. And then perfectly find Daryl, right? Like, Europe is huge. The United States is huge. But somehow Morgan went from Virginia all the way to Texas. Don't know how he got there. And what he did was some bridges and some stuff being blown apart that we got to see in the World Beyond. But he got to Texas. I guess he just took the highway across. And, he found the Fear the Walking Dead cast. Like, hey, guys, we're here. So Comic-Con is next weekend. Well, Friday in, 5 days. So I'm excited to see what they're going to show us. We already got the Daryl premiere date. I haven't seen it posted anywhere, but a lot of people are saying in different websites and stuff that Fear the Walking Dead is going to be October 22nd. I really hope we get a teaser for the Rick and Michonne show. It could be 36 seconds. I don't care. I hope we get a full trailer for the Daryl show. I hope we get more information and even, I guess, a little more of a trailer of Fear the Walking Dead. And hopefully they talk about, season 2 of Dead City. But that'll air Thursday before Comic-Con on AMC Plus, and then Sunday, so it'll finish on Sunday too. So, all right, guys, so let's get into the last half hour spoilers for Dead City. I don't want to ruin anything for anybody for Dead City, and so spoilers. So overall, Dead City is good. I'm enjoying it. We have the Negan working with Armstrong through. So Negan was brought in by Maggie. Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay has update on your latest book. Like the thumbs up for the stream, guys. Give us a like. So book, I'm going to be doing an update for Lindsay on the Fight For Us series. So Fight For Us is going strong. It's book 19 I'm working on. It's titled Reset. It will be out later this year. I have edited the final edit, my first 3 chapters. It's 18 chapters like the most books have been. My wife is on chapter 7, so she's going through it, and I don't want to get past her because she's doing her edit, and I'm coming behind to do the other edit kind of thing. So it's coming along very nicely. I'm hoping my wife can devote a little more time for the book to do. She probably reads about 2 chapters a weekend at minimum, so we'll get there, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. But again, I don't want to rush it. I'm hoping that it'll be out in August, but if it's September, I'm fine with that too, just because, again, I don't want to rush it. And I'm glad I'm going back and reading it and editing it, because I'm catching stuff that I thought was pretty good. It's pretty essential now that I've learned. I should have took the time from the very beginning, but I was excited to get the story out because a lot of people were enjoying it, and I think a lot of people are enjoying it still. And I'm excited for you guys to read book 19, which will be titled Reset. James, you can go on Amazon. There's links on the homepage of the YouTube channel. There's links in the description of my videos to go to our Amazon store. But the book title is Fight For Us. And Lindsay says the link to purchase on Amazon is above. So Lindsay does a great job in posting the links, and there it is right there. So if you want to find out more, it's Fight For Us is the title of the book series. So Dead City, guys, like I said, spoilers. Dead City is awesome. I'm excited for you guys to check out the the episode for tonight. If you haven't, it's a good episode. They cover things. So last week's episode was basically like flashback stuff with Negan and Simon and the Croat and this, and they did their little showdown in Madison Square Garden, and it continues on from that. So at the end of the episode, Maggie, Tommaso, Amaya, and Ginny go into the sewers, and so they're basically in the sewers this entire episode. Armstrong and Negan Armstrong was captured by the Croat. The Croat threw Armstrong off of a catwalk at the top of Madison Square Garden. Armstrong somehow grabbed the railing. Negan was pulling him up. Croat shot him in the thigh with the weapons that the Tommaso's people, the tribes people, that's what the showrunner calls them, in the thigh with that weapon, ripped up his thigh pretty bad. Negan saved Armstrong, took him away. They go into a building, and Negan is working with Armstrong, but Armstrong has the weapon that Negan had, and says, you killed these people. You got to pay for what you did, even though Negan just saved his life. Like, what are you talking about? So Negan should basically kill Armstrong and get rid of him, so then he doesn't have to worry about it. But Negan saves Armstrong time and time again. And so he's working with Armstrong. So we'll have to see where that goes with that. So the episode starts with Negan and Armstrong going into walking in the shops, I believe. Or maybe it starts in the tunnels. I can't believe where exactly it starts. But Armstrong and Negan go into another store, and Negan is looking around. He's looking at a Statue of Liberty, like remember a little tchotchke gift shop souvenir. Armstrong grabs a flyer off of the thing inside there, and it's for Chelsea Piers. And that's where Armstrong wants to go. Armstrong is from the Bronx, he says, that he's from New York. So he used to work there. His brother and him used to work there too. And we know what happened to his brother. His brother was, on drugs and fell, it just didn't do well on his own, and he needed help, and Armstrong wasn't there for him. So Armstrong feels bad for that. But their plan is to go to Chelsea Piers and get a raft that floats that you just have to untie it. There's no boats, there's no ships, there's no anything like that because the Croat has control of that. So basically we find out about this and about that, and then Negan is, taking Armstrong around from place to place. And the rest of Armstrong tells Negan to give him his knife. And I would never give up my weapon like that. It's just a knife, and I would say, I need to protect myself. You trust me or you don't, but I'm keeping my knife on me. But Negan doesn't do that. He gives up his knife. They get surrounded by walkers. They go here, surrounded by more walkers, go there, surrounded by more walkers. They go into a building. They find this guy, this body that evidently killed himself with an axe and killed his brain. And there's a walker in the building that they're at. Negan grabs the walker, throws it at Armstrong. Armstrong deflects the walker, and Negan carefully walks away. I would have sprinted away so fast, but he walks away, comes across a wooden blockade thing on the window or something, and it says, "Don't open, dead outside," which is a callback to The Walking Dead in a couple different ways. Negan's trying to pull the wood off. Armstrong shoots it with the weapon, pulls it, and rips the wood down. Negan says, "Look, we need to work together. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that." So they work together the rest of the episode. They go to a bus. Negan told Armstrong that he was a gym teacher, and they go into a school bus, which is bus 101, which is a nice callback to the house that I believe Rick's house in Alexandria was house number 101 as well. And they go in there. Negan grabs the first aid kit, pours some either rubbing alcohol or clotting agents or something in his wound. Armstrong is like, like it burns. He talk about Armstrong's brother named Joel, and they talk about this, talk about that, and they bond a little bit, and they find out, that they can work together. And Armstrong asks Negan, like, "Why are you helping me again?" He's like, "Well, maybe I feel bad. I don't really know why, or maybe they're going to send another marshal that's worse than you. So, I don't know. I'm just helping you because I'm helping you, right?" So they end up in the bus for the rest of the episode. Carol asked, "A lot of talk has been JDM is carrying the show. You agree?" I do. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is carrying the show. Negan, the show, like Maggie is okay, and the stuff with Herschel, okay, and whatever. But without Negan, I guess there could be the Croat, but it really wouldn't make that much sense. Negan's hilarious. His one-liners are good. The Armstrong thing, I think it's like 75-25 Negan percentage of the show for me. But Maggie has her moments, and she has moments in this episode too. So that's basically the stuff that happens with Negan in the episode and Armstrong. So Maggie, Ginny, Tommaso, and Amaya are in the tunnels. They're talking about what to do and where to go and how could this happen and blah, blah, blah. And they have flashlights, and Tommaso has a red lamp on his head, a bright red light. Like it's this giant red beacon that he's wearing, and he flashes and looks at Amaya multiple times in the episode. And guess who dies in the episode? Tommaso and Amaya. Red theory strikes again. So they walk down the sewers, and you see that there's walkers there's a bunch of dead walker bodies, and the walkers are still alive somehow. They're hiding underneath the walkers, or they're trapped underneath the walkers, and they're stuck. But there's some movement, so there's walkers that are still alive down there. Tim asks Q&A, notice Negan pushes a walker at Armstrong, makes a break for it. Armstrong catches up to them. Negan claims he can't leave anyone behind, then helps him again. Yeah, I mean, it was basically like Negan was trying to run away and do his thing, get on there too. But, they need each other. There's not enough episodes for Negan and Armstrong to separate, to come back together. So they're basically just forced to work together too, because they're running out of episodes. We're going to have one more episode after this one. So Maggie and Ginny and Amaya and Tommaso are in the sewers, and the methane gas is going to get to them, and it's going to be a thing because they basically it's like it's going to make you trip out and have trouble breathing, and it's going to mess with you. So as they go through the tunnels, they're trying to figure out what it is. They come across a spot and they take a break. And Tommaso magically finds these oxygen tanks. And before that, Amaya was going to open his bag for the flashlight. Tommaso freaked out and was like, no, I'll get it. I was thinking that Tommaso was bit because he was surrounded by walkers inside Madison Square Garden, and he somehow survived, thinking he got bit. But he didn't. He turns out he's a traitor. So Maggie figures it out and says, should I tell them or you? So Tommaso made a deal with the Croat when the Croat captured Tommaso. Tommaso was about to escape. He got captured. He says that he had to make a deal because he wanted to save Amaya, get back to Amaya and do all that. But he told the Croat where their spots were, where their, just hiding places were, and their resources and supplies and everything were. He was basically selling them out. He was a traitor, I guess. So Amaya doesn't like that, and also before that, Maggie is going through her bag, and next to her is Ginny, and Ginny looks down and she sees what's in Maggie's bag. She sees the dinosaur stuffed animal, which is very much alive. She sees a flare gun. So I'm guessing at the end of the episode, Ginny takes the whole bag or takes the stuff out of the bag. Like takes the flare gun because she fires a flare at the end of the episode, and she takes her stuffed animal. I don't know if she just took the stuff in the bag or takes the whole bag. I can't really remember. It's not really explained, but she has a flare gun at the end of it. She fires a flare. Negan sees it. Maggie sees it, and that's how the episode ends. So Tommaso is a traitor, and they keep walking down. Tommaso's moving this walker that's in the way, I guess. Maggie tries to help him, and she's like, about to pass out. They sit down, take a break, but there's all these walkers there. Like the bodies of dead walkers or sleeping walkers or lurkers or whatever. But it's not a good place to take a break and talk and have a meaningful conversation because the walkers wake up, they attack Amaya, rip Amaya's guts out, they attack Tommaso, they bite Tommaso's neck, and the people that survive are Ginny and Maggie. So Maggie puts down Tommaso and Amaya so they don't turn. But then they continue on their way. Ginny has the oxygen, so she's fine. Maggie does not. So she's struggling, and she's breathing, and she's kind of hallucinating, and she's this and that, and she's remembering stuff. She keeps remembering the Negan lineup. That happened like 13 years ago or 12 years ago or whatever on there too. A lot of stuff has happened since then. And yes, it will be burned into your brain and you'll never forget it. But there's got to be other memories in Maggie's head in 10, 12 years since then. Herschel wasn't even born yet, and Herschel's like a teenager now. So you're like, ugh. But either way. So they come across this mountain of walkers. They climb over it, come down. Maggie gets her legs stuck inside of a walker. They hear this walker kind of like making noise, or a bunch of them making noise. And it's like the boss walker, the end walker. Maggie tells Ginny to go that way, and Ginny just leaves. And I don't know I think Maggie drops her bag, and I guess Ginny takes it too. So I'm guessing Ginny has the bag. So Maggie gets her legs stuck in a walker body, and she's trying to cut it loose and get on there too. And meanwhile, this walker's crawling towards her. And it's the walker from the trailer that we were excited to see, if it's going to be a variant walker, a hybrid walker, a new species of walker. But it's basically just a walker that was entangled, like I thought from the very beginning. So it's a walker body that stands up, and then there's a walker here that's connected to the walker body there. There's like 4 different walkers at least connected inside this walker. So it's like this hybrid entangled crazy walker. Maggie gets stuck. She falls backwards. The walker falls on top of her. She's like fighting it off. The walker head comes through the rib cage of another walker, the side rib cage of that walker. And so Maggie's like, it would be so heavy because there'd be so many walkers in there. But Maggie kills all the walker heads, and it falls down. As Maggie's trying to get up, the one walker from behind is like, ah! It's just so funny. It reminds me like the Crypt Keeper. It's kind of laughable. And then Maggie kills it. Maggie gets her wits about her, climbs up the thing, and she comes up and she sees a thing in red. And it's written liar. So Ginny wrote liar. So as Maggie sees the liar on there, she's like, oh, what does that mean? Who she knows. So Ginny's crawling through the pipe, and we see Ginny. Remember, Ginny left the bricks. That's what they were calling Maggie's community, the bricks. So it's not Hilltop. It's not Hilltop 2.0, which if you think about it, Maggie's had it pretty darn good. So Maggie was at the farm, then the prison, then Alexandria, then Hilltop, then the bricks, and man, she's got a bunch of communities under her belt. Or I guess even the Meridian. She's got all these communities. It's kind of crazy. She's living a great life there too, even though she's lost a lot of people. For community-wise, she's got it pretty set up there for her. So there's also a line in there too that Tommaso talked with the Croat, and the Croat said, I'll give you a boat, I'll set up things. There's a community outside of there that has kitchens. It has, homes. It has this. It has a school. It has farmland. It has a farm. Everything is so good, it's made of bricks. So people are like, is that the Commonwealth? Maybe, but I doubt it. It's Maggie's community is what I got out of it. She calls it the bricks. Everything's made of bricks. The bricks is what it's called. So as Maggie sees the red and Walker blood wrote liar on it, she crawls through the pipes, and we see Ginny clawed through the same pipe. And we see a flashback of when Ginny left the bricks. She climbed up the silo that had the grain in it. She opens it, and she looks in there, and the grain is full. So Maggie lied and said that the Croat came and took all their grain. The grain is full in there. So Maggie is a liar. Ginny saw it, calls her out. That's the biggest part Ginny has done so far, is exposed Maggie to the audience that she's actually lied, which we thought was the theory that's going around, and it makes sense. Now, why would she lie here and lie this and do this? And does she have to make up a story about the grain and that? I don't know, but we know that Maggie is lying about it. So also when Maggie is crawling through the pipe, she remembers why the Croat wants Negan, or took Herschel or whatever. He wants Negan. So the Croat came to the bricks, handed a thing to Maggie, which is the wanted poster or the flyer for Negan. So the Croat wants Negan. He took Herschel to get Negan. Basically what we thought, in a little different way, but that's what it was. So I'm guessing that Negan, the Croat gets Negan, the Croat will give Herschel back. But that's not what Maggie told anybody. So, but we see that in there too. So it's exposed that Negan is basically trade bait for Herschel. Now we see the Croat. So the Croat comes flying down the sidewalk in his Cadillac and takes out a walker, and he goes into a theater. And it's called like King Francis, I think is what it says. It makes you think of the kingdom, the King Ezekiel. But King Francis, he goes in there and there's people playing the piano and being stupid, and it's just carrying on. And the Croat doesn't really like these people. You can see someone tries to give him a drink or something, and his hand, and the Croat walks through them and goes here, and he goes backstage, and there's this like big woman that opens the door of a new character that's called the Dhamma, for I think it's lady. So the lady looks at the Croat, not the Dhamma, but the lady who leaves the Dhamma's dressing room, and she's like, she says something to him, and then she calls him the B word, out of my way, and smacks him in the shoulder with her shoulder and just keeps walking. And the Croat's like, yeah. So he goes into the Dhamma's dressing room, and the Dhamma is reading a book, which is called like something, it's a weird book. I have it, I took a screenshot of it, but it's an interesting thing that she's reading, and they kind of focus on it a little bit. And like Danielle says, she was in Ozark, and I've never seen Ozark besides the first episode. So people like her, says she was a villain, and she was bad there too. So, well, she's a villain here. So she's the one actually pulling the strings here, not the Croat, right? So, so the Croat is covering his ear. He's wearing like this beanie type thing. It's not pantyhose. It's like some kind of cover thing that he drapes it over his ear, his blown off ear, because he wants to, I guess, look presentable to this woman. So this woman is weird. Like, she's something weird about her. Like, she's definitely in the theater, and she talks about the hero and this, and there's a plot twist, and it started off with a bang. And she was probably a performer, I'm guessing, at some point in the theater here before the world fell apart, or she wanted to be, or something. So the Croat says to her, "We're talking with these people now." And she's sitting at her makeup table or whatever. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't concern you. So she's pulling the strings, this lady, not the Croat, which was kind of interesting because you thought, he was under Negan's wing or Negan's leadership. Now he's under this lady's leadership. So the Croat's not the leader. He's just part for this lady. So the lady, the Dhamma, could be a second season. She could carry a second season, I guess, too, especially if there's some big moment in the final, which there's supposed to be a twist and a thing here and there too. So we'll have to see what happens with that in the Dhamma. So they talk about, the Croat explains kind of what's going on. And then the lady's like, yeah, it started off with a bang, and there's a twist, and there's a plot twist, and the hero is this, and if the hero's off stage, it's no good. And all we care about is the ending. That's all people care about is the ending. Talking about like a play or a show or a production or something, and it's just weird. So she says something, like, that's why we need him. And I guess him is Negan. And the Croat says, I will make sure that Negan doesn't leave the island. And Michael says, Djokovic goes down. So Djokovic lost, huh? Wow. I think Djokovic was like number 2, so the number 1 seed was who he was playing, or vice versa. So, interesting. But, so the Croat and the Dhamma are talking, and it's just like a weird thing. It reminds me of like Pamela Milton and Lance. And so their plan is to get Negan. And the Croat says, he shows the badge to the Dhamma and says, see, it's only one marshal, but you were right. The people are going to come here for us and try to take this, what we have with their laws and their this. So they just want to take and steal and fill up their fat bellies. And so I guess they've been in their own world here and lawlessness and doing whatever they want. And they're worried about people coming here. Even though, I don't know, like I said, CRM could be connected with this somehow, some way, but still waiting for that. I'm going to hold my breath for that. Or I won't hold my breath for the CRM connection because I don't think it's coming. But so the lady says, that's why we need him. After he talks about the marshals and the people there too. So it's definitely something that, who is this woman? How does she connect with Negan? Negan is not the president. He doesn't have a resource of food and shelter and a silo and here. And I don't know. He doesn't. So I don't know what she wants with Negan. but she wants something with Negan. And so we'll have to see what that twist is coming in the finale. And as the Croat's going to leave, she sticks out her hand. It's like down by her side, but here. And then he like kisses her hand and then puts his head in her hand. And it's like, kiss the ring. Like, it's just weird. And it was kind of like when Pamela Milton rubbed Lance's face. And it's just weird. Like, what is going on here? And so more on that next episode. And then we have the whole thing with the walker in this. And then I tell you, Ginny shoots the flare. And Negan sees it from inside the bus that's in the street. And then Maggie sees it when she gets up into the street level. And so we see the flare. And we see that's how the episode ends. But next week's episode, we're going to see Herschel, we're going to see Armstrong, we're going to see Maggie and Negan working together. We'll see the Croat, we'll see all this stuff coming there. But it's the final episode, it's the finale. But, you know, what's going to happen with these characters? And we see a bunch of walkers again. We see Maggie and Negan in this area that's probably in a building, an abandoned building. Negan grabs a walker's head and like smashes it against a pillar. And then you see Maggie and Negan kind of squaring off each other on top of this platform with walkers underneath it. And that's the fight scene that we saw in production that, you know, Maggie stabs Negan and Negan pushes Maggie and all this crazy stuff. And then they get outside and then Maggie is trying to get away and Negan like jumps down like Spider-Man and he's like, ah, and he lands on this platform and then he sticks his knife towards Maggie's throat. And Maggie's like, oh, oh. Basically like Maggie did to Negan in the first episode. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But one of the reviewers that said, you know, before the episodes aired, there's a twist coming that happens in the final episode that they didn't really like. So we'll see what's happened. What's the twist? Is it involve Maggie, Negan, Armstrong, the Dhamma, Croat, Ginny? I don't know. So is it going to be a cliffhanger setting up season 2? Is it going to set things up here and there? But overall, I'm excited to see how it's going to go down and finish. And again, it's only 6 episodes. They go quick. And yeah, so overall, I've enjoyed it so far, unless they do some stupid twist. I jokingly said that Herschel could be the major twist, and he doesn't want to leave, and he stays with the Croat. Will they do something like that? I don't know. Like I said, that's a good question that people have asked for a long time. So if the Herschel angle being taken or kidnapped and making Negan come to the city, New York City, is going to be like the force, the driving force, what's going to be available for season 2 if they have that and beyond, which I think their plan is to have a season 2. Will we see other characters? Is Maggie going to get away and leave Negan to either be with the Dhamma or the Croat or both of them? Or what's going to happen with Armstrong? Like, what's going to happen with stuff? I don't know. Yeah. Jeannie says maybe the Dhamma is Negan's mommy. Or I guess she says maybe she's Negan's mommy, but I guess she means the Dhamma. And she says, or Lucille's mommy, mother-in-law from hell. Yeah, I don't know. Like would we go that route? Like, if that's the way we're going with it, that is very soap opera-ish. I'm your mother-in-law. Negan's like, ah. So I don't know where it's going to go for the finale, but I'm excited to see where it's going to be. Maybe it sucks. Maybe it's, you know. But overall, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the story. And mainly because of Negan. Like, if Negan was a part of the show, I don't think I would like it nearly as much. And the other shows really suffered. There was nobody like Negan on World Beyond. Nobody like Negan on Fear the Walking Dead. And we didn't really have the best villains on Fear the Walking Dead. when we had good characters like John Dory and Morgan and June, that was like the 4th season. Like, what did you do the first 3 seasons? Why was it like a reboot? Why did it take so long to do these things? And then you killed characters off for character development, and characters just left randomly. So hopefully next Sunday, I'll be back for the live stream. Hopefully we'll get good information on Friday, the 21st, at Comic-Con. Hopefully it doesn't have to be good quality. It's just hopefully a good amount of information. So we want information about Fear the Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, Dead City, Rick and Michonne, Tales of the Walking Dead. There should be 5 things to cover, to talk about, even if it's just one question about it. Hopefully we get trailers and teasers and promo photos and all this information about a bunch of stuff. And hopefully we get good stuff. We already got the information about the next show, which is Daryl, coming in 2 months. And then October for Fear the Walking Dead. So after next week, we won't have any show in August. And we'll have to wait, 10 days for Daryl Dixon in September. But, those couple days, I would assume they'll have the early access on Thursdays too. So there you go, guys. That's my hour. I appreciate you guys taking the time being here, asking good questions. Hopefully I answered a lot of good stuff for you guys. I'm excited to find out what happens with Dead City and the finale next week. Hopefully we get some good information on Friday at Comic-Con, and hopefully good stuff is going through with it. Don't know who's going to be there because of the actor strike and the writer strike on there too, but showing up at a Comic-Con convention, I don't think is going to really cause a lot of problems. It would be great if Rick and Michonne showed up, but they did last year, or if Daryl's going to be there or whatever. But hopefully we'll have some good information for you, and I'll be back next Sunday, guys. Thank you for taking the time to be here. We truly appreciate it. Thank you, Lindsay, for the super chat. We truly appreciate it, and thank you, guys. Remember, sorry, I was going to try to say my outro, right? Remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve success. Keep working hard. Believe in yourself. You can do it. I'll be back next Sunday. Enjoy tonight's episode. If you haven't seen it yet, see you.